on
Cooper.
Flagg.
Flagg.
He started to get him right.
He started to figure it out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is about the time you start getting
25, 30 games we said, right?
Yeah. That's when you start, okay, this is who's who.
December 15, 2025. Cooper Flagg puts 42 on the Jazz, 13 for 27 from the field, 15 for 20 at the line, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 blocks, and he does it on 48% shooting.
Got it now. And here's Coop on the drive. And this is all it takes now to turn things around.
He becomes the youngest player ever to score 40 in an NBA game. He's 18. LeBron's old record was 41 at 19, and Flagg becomes the third teenager ever to hit 40. Only LeBron and Kevin Durant did it before him, and the funniest part is the reaction. Half the internet goes, "Oh my god, he's him." The other half goes, "Cool, another hot week. Relax." And I'm sitting there thinking, are we watching the same thing? Because those 42 were not a lucky run. This was not one of those nights where every loose ball lands in your hands. He takes fewer shots than Anthony Edwards did when Edwards scored 42 on 15 for 31, and Flagg gets 20 free throw attempts, more than anyone in that comparison. This was the first clear sign the league already trusted him with real possessions at 18. And here's the point. That 42-point night was not the top. It was the start. 14 days after he tied Dallas's rookie scoring record with those 42, he breaks it. January 29, 2026. Dallas retires Mark Aguirre's number 24 jersey at halftime. Big night. Franchise legend. Ceremony. The whole arena feels heavy. And Flagg walks out and drops 49. Not 49 because the game turned into chaos. 49 on 20 for 29 shooting, 10 rebounds. And now it becomes the most points ever scored by a teenager in NBA history.
Incredible. Now here's Coop, and he's going to drive on Brandon Miller, gliding to the basket.
That part needs to land twice. Most points by a teenager ever. So if you thought 42 meant he arrived, 49 is where you realize he's still climbing. And everybody's watching it happen in real time. But I'm jumping ahead, because the real question is not how good is Cooper Flagg. The real question is, how did this even happen? How does a kid from Newport, Maine end up running NBA possessions like he's been there for years? And no, I don't mean the clean version where the small town kid makes it big. I mean the real version. The version with no pipeline, no machine, no non-stop scout traffic, no conveyor belt. Newport is small. Maine is not where the basketball world goes looking for stars. So how does a kid from there build an NBA-ready game? Not NBA athletic, NBA ready. The answer is plain, and it's kinda insane. They built the structure from scratch. It starts with his parents seeing what Maine could not give him and refusing to treat it like a limit. They played. They knew the game. They also knew the ceiling. So they made one rule early. You don't play your age. You play up. Second grade. He's 7 years old, and he's in a 4th grade league, playing kids 2 years older. 3rd grade, he's playing 5th graders, and he's in the 100th percentile for height. But he still has to deal with contact, and yeah, he's getting hit. He's coming home bruised. He's learning how to stay on his feet when an older kid gets sick of the little one being better. That's the part people skip. It's not the points, it's the pressure. You don't learn defense at 18. You learn it when effort matters more than highlights. When you're smaller, when you're tired, when nobody's clapping, when you still have to slide anyway. And then his family does the thing people talk about, but almost nobody does. They don't complain about Maine not having AAU. They build it. Maine United, minivan miles, weekend after weekend. And I love this detail because it tells you what kind of basketball brain he built before the world started screaming his name. They weren't blasting highlight mixtapes in the car. They were watching old Boston Celtics games over and over, not for nostalgia, for study, spacing, angles, timing, the plain stuff that wins possessions. People call Cooper Flagg a once-in-a-generation prospect, and I get it. The Larry Bird comparisons are not just hype either. There's a real reason. Cooper didn't grow up on highlight clips. He grew up on film. His parents built the system for him in Maine. They created Maine United. They drove him everywhere in a minivan. And on those rides, they watched old Celtics games over and over. That was the education. Because Larry Bird wasn't about flash. He won with movement. He won with angles. He won with the extra pass. He set screens, slipped into space, and punished mistakes. That shows up in Flagg's game now. He's already averaging 3.5 assists per game as a rookie forward. He makes reads from the high post. He finds cutters. He hits the pass one beat early. That isn't random. That's tape. That's training. That's why he plays older than 18. And when you watch him now, it shows. His game lives in the small choices. The ones you don't notice until you realize he's steering the whole floor. Let me ask you something. How many rookies do you know who hit the right pass a beat early on purpose? Most young players see the first read. Flagg's already seeing the next one before the first one even looks open. That comes from watching movement, not from spamming dribble combos in an empty gym. And while we're here, we have to talk about the Maine winter part. Because it sounds like a movie detail, but it matters. The driveway, the snow, shoveling out space to play, gloves on, fingers numb. That's not internet toughness. That's routine. You get enough reps when it feels miserable. And later, when the NBA starts feeling miserable, you don't fold. You keep going. Freshman year at Nakamas, the program's a nobody story before he shows up. They go 1-17 for 2 years in a row. Then everything flips. They go 21-1, state title, and Flagg averages 21 points, 10 rebounds, and 6 assists. And he becomes the first freshman in Maine history to win Gatorade Player of the Year. And that's where the story splits, because Maine's suddenly too small for what's coming. So he transfers to Montverde. And if you've never thought about how hard that is, picture it. You're 14. You leave home. You walk into a gym where the roster has 5 future Division I players, and Montverde has produced 7 first-round picks since 2020. Everything moves faster. Everything feels louder. Nobody's bad. That's where a lot of future stars turn into, remember that guy? Not because they lack talent, because the environment exposes the missing parts. And Flagg doesn't just survive it, he levels up. Then, Peach Jam happens. 25.4 points per game, 13 rebounds, 5.7 assists. Then, USA Basketball, the Under-17 World Cup in 2022. He's 15. He averages 9.3 points, 10 rebounds, 2.9 blocks, and 2.4 steals per game. And in the final against Spain, he puts up 10 points, 17 rebounds, 8 steals, and 4 blocks. USA wins 79-67, gold medal. And he wins USA Basketball Male Athlete of the Year at 15, youngest ever. So, by the time Duke happens, the who is this kid part is done. Now it's, okay, does it hold up when everyone knows your name? And at Duke, he doesn't do the normal freshman star thing where you score and pretend defense is a future problem. He impacts every part of the game. Freshman, Final Four run. That's why scouts stop arguing.
The roll! Oh! Right over Badunga!
Because good prospects make it a bait upside. Players like Flagg make it a bait roll. How do you even use a guy like this without wasting him? Because scoring gets you noticed, defense gets you trusted. Then he goes first overall in 2025, lands in Dallas, and the NBA part starts. And I'll be honest, this is where the story gets more interesting. It gets less clean. Early on, Dallas tries him at point guard. It's a lot. It's messy. He looks tired in spots, and people do the thing people always do. They panic after 12 games like the season's only 12 games. Then, December hits. He averages 23.5 points per game in December on strong efficiency. And the month ends with that 42-point statement game against Utah. And over his last 7 games at 25.7 points per game. He's a rookie forward, averaging 3.5 assists per game.
Put up 13 of 18 shots have been threes. They've made 5. Yeah. Here's Cooper Flagg on the line.
And if you're thinking, alright, that's it, he's unstoppable now. January is where the league reminds you how real this is. Because January isn't a smooth climb. His scoring drops for a stretch, the shot cools off, the schedule gets heavier. And that's not a character issue. That's the rookie wall. Here's the part nobody wants to talk about because it kills the highlight montage. At Duke, he played 39 games in 151 days. In the NBA, by January 29th, he played 43 games in 95 days. That's not a little more, that's a different life. That's your legs feeling off on a back-to-back. That's recovery turning into work. That's your body learning a new calendar. And then, the ankle happens. On January 14th, he twists his left ankle on a defensive play. He misses games. He comes back. Dallas manages it instead of acting like nothing happened. And how he handles it matters, because it fits the whole Maine to Montverde story. He doesn't shut down. He doesn't act untouchable. He stays in the middle, tough enough to play, smart enough to let the staff manage it. And then January 29th happens. 14 days after he tied Dallas's rookie scoring record, he breaks it. Dallas retires Mark Aguirre's number 24 jersey at halftime. Big night, franchise legend, ceremony, and Flagg walks out and drops 49.
It's Brandon Miller with a 4-point play. Here comes Cooper, and down it goes!
Not 49 because the game turned into chaos, 49 on 20 for 29 shooting, 10 rebounds. And now it becomes the most points ever scored by a teenager in NBA history. But the game itself is even better, because it's not a clean win. It's against Con Knipple, his former Duke roommate, and Knipple goes off too. They trade buckets. They talk. They turn it personal. Knipple hits the game-winning free throws late. Flagg turns it over in the final moments. Dallas loses 123 to 121. And I love this spot because it tells you who he is. After a 49 piece, he doesn't do the "I'm great, next question" routine. He talks about the turnover. Coach Jason Kidd points out he cares more about winning than stats.
Cooper was incredible. Most points by a rookie or teenager. Understanding he broke Aguirre's record.
That's not image control. That's who he is when the lights get hot. The Rookie of the Year race is tighter than it looks. Flagg is still the betting favorite, but Knipple has made it a real argument, and the contrast is perfect. Knipple is efficiency, clean shots, elite spacing, the easy mat scorer. Flagg is workload, rebounds, assists, defense, the hard job guy. One is a scalpel, the other is a whole toolbox. And here's the line I can't get out of my head. Flagg leads Dallas in points, rebounds, assists, and steals. That's not normal rookie stuff. That's wise the teenager doing the grown man job stuff. He's also piling up clutch points, which tells you something else. This isn't empty scoring when the game's already decided. They go to him when it gets tight. And that's where the story gets uncomfortable, because it forces the question we keep dodging. What's he supposed to be right now? A rookie who flashes, or the piece you build your team around? The Mavericks are under a 500 record. They're outside the safe playoff spots, and Flagg's biggest scoring nights have come in losses. So you get this weird tension. He looks like the future, but the team keeps reminding you he's still early. He's putting up historic nights, but the standings don't care. He's still building, but the internet wants the finished version today. And that's why I think the 49 matters more than the 42. 42 was the announcement. 49 was the warning, because it came after the fatigue, after the ankle, after the dip, after teams had film. It wasn't random. It was the response. And when you zoom out, the scariest part of Cooper Flagg isn't the point totals. It's what holds up. The timing holds up. The positioning holds up. The effort holds up. The decision-making holds up. Those are the traits that survive when your legs feel dead in February. Those are the traits that survive when the playoffs slow down. Those are the traits that survive when your shot goes cold and you still need to win possessions. So when people say he's a system player like it's an insult, I laugh. Yeah, he is. A system built in a place with no system. A kid who watched old Celtics tape instead of chasing highlights. A family that turned road trips into basketball school. A player who drops 49 and thinks about the one mistake. That's not luck. That's built. And the warning's simple. If he's already making teams change their offense because of where he stands, if he's already putting up franchise nights and still talking about one turnover, if the league already treats him like someone who decides games, then the scary part isn't what he is, the scary part is what he becomes when the team around him finally catches up. Before Cooper Flagg even steps into year 2, the league's already started moving the furniture.